Replay footage or forgot.
Enough respect, dude.
Fight the power. No, notorious.
You know my steez.
I've got the
power.
I grew up in an area where there was a lot of drug dealing and a lot of violence.
Dre Day was February the 18th, 1965, when baby Andre Young was born to 16-year-old Verna Griffin in South Central Los Angeles.
People telling me that I wasn't going to be nothing and my baby wasn't going to be nothing.
How wrong they were. Andre grew up in the 70s.
I really used to listen to a lot of Funkadelic. That was my biggest inspiration. You know, George Clinton, you know, he's actually one of the people responsible for me getting involved in music at all.
His mother helped him along too by getting a very young Andre, aged 4, to DJ at family parties.
She would give me a little list, you know, and I would sit there and just play the records all night for them at their parties. You know, that's what I like to do.
He would be the little DJ, and before record players could go back and forth, you know, he destroyed a few of them, you know.
Andre's mum remarried and had 2 more children, Tyree and Shamika. But when the new marriage fell apart, Andre became the man of the house and the 2 brothers became inseparable.
My brother was my best friend and we did everything together. He was just a lot of fun to be around. You know, he walked in, the party got live.
When Andre was 15, his mum bought him a mixer for Christmas.
It was funny because he stayed in that bedroom all day long. He would not come out the room. Tried to get him to come out to eat. No, he wasn't hungry. And when I finally went in there later on that night, he had actually went to sleep with these headsets on. The headsets are just blasting away.
This was like the ultimate thing to have, you know, damn a bike, you know, I got a mixer.
I never really had that break that everybody talks about. I really worked hard to get in the position that I'm in. We had to pester the radio stations to play our records at the beginning.
That beginning came when he was 17 and was DJing at a local club called Eve After Dark and called himself Dr. Dre after basketball legend Dr. J.
That was the ultimate high for me to be able to put a song on and have the crowd just start screaming.
Dre's reputation as a DJ quickly got around and earned him an invitation to join a local group of DJs called the World Class Wrecking Crew, who posed in very theatrical costumes.
I would put on like a shiny doctor's outfit with the stethoscope and the whole thing and come up there and put on a show.
I'm the world class doctor.
That was funny. You know, that was real funny. I wasn't feeling it at the time, but hey, I had to pay my dues. I don't believe in all the big fancy, you know, gold chains, platinum chains and all that. I did at one time. I was into that at a young age, you know what I'm saying? But after looking at my bank accounts a few times, I decided that wasn't for me.
Behind the turntables is DJ Train.
I can get attention without having all that on.
Hit it.
Understandably, by the age of 21, Dre was tired of the glitter and sequins and had bigger plans.
I wanted to go off and do my own thing, but I didn't have the money to do it, you know, so there were a couple of people that I knew that had the kind of money that it would take to do what I wanted to do, and Eric was one of those people.
Eric Eazy-E Wright, a locally feared drug dealer who was attempting to set up his own rap empire but wasn't having much success, until he hooked up with Dre. So with Eazy's money and Dre's music, they formed a crew with other DJs and rappers and called themselves NWA, Niggers with Attitude.
Ren was going to be one of the top MCs. Cube, of course, was going to be another front man. Yella was good at the technical part. Eazy was supposed to be the wild one. I'm the organizer.
NWA, perhaps the most notorious group in the history of rap, who outraged as many people as they thrilled with their violent and sexist lyrics about criminal life. Eazy-E came up with the money to make a track called Boys in the Hood. It went on to become a huge local hit and caught the attention of a well-known manager, Jerry Heller.
When I heard Boys in the Hood, I just felt it was the most important music that I had heard in many, many years.
Jerry Heller helped Eazy-E set up Ruthless Records and eventually persuaded Interscope Records to release NWA's first album, Straight Outta Compton. Although Dr Dre has said he threw Straight Outta Compton together in 6 weeks, the album introduced the world to gangster rap. But this was 1989 and they were still too raw for MTV, who refused to air the video, citing excessive violence.
Everybody was saying our music incited violence and what have you, but it's a record, you know what I'm saying? It's entertainment, that's all it is.
One of the tracks on Straight Outta Compton was Fuck the Police.
Fuck the police coming straight from the underground. A young nigga got it bad 'cause I'm brown.
This unleashed a wave of controversy. Even the FBI sent a letter to Priority Records accusing NWA of encouraging violence towards the police.
I have to say thanks to that FBI agent that wrote us that letter. You did a big service to us, and I really appreciate that letter you sent. You made us a lot of money.
Now being a little bit older, that was pretty serious. That was some heavy shit. People were saying we were political and all this nonsense. And boom, it just blew up from there. Everybody in the world was appreciating what we were doing.
Tell them what you are. I'm down when I'm stomping. Now tell them where you're from. Mother coming straight out of Compton.
In 1989, NWA took their live show on the road. Life was good. Whilst Dre was enjoying his first taste of stardom, his then 21-year-old brother Tyree had a new job and was planning to get married. But one night, after innocently walking out of a store, he was caught up in some violence with a gang of youths. The outcome would affect Dr. Dre for the rest of his life.
I guess they were fighting and they fell. All of them fell, and my brother was at the bottom.
My son was just a little guy, but he threw him down on the ground and it broke his neck and he never gained conscious.
He ain't heavy. He's my brother. So on we go.
More recently in Dr. Dre's career, he's felt comfortable enough to finally put his feelings about Tyree's death into words in a track called The Message.
With all due respect, you could have forgave him. You didn't have to take him.
It was a long life ahead. I mean, you just never know. So that was my question. Why him?
Dre would have yet more to question when he rejoined the NWA tour in 1989, only to learn of yet more trouble.
Ice Cube is not for the pop chart.
Ice Cube was leaving NWA. Although Dre didn't seem to be too bothered at the time,
We're selling more records now without him. You know, that's one less pop fee.
Blame it on Ice Cube.
he felt very differently a few years on.
Ice Cube was smart in what he did back in the day. You know, he didn't sign the contracts that they presented for us, and he was smart for that. You know, I signed the contracts, and I got jerked.
NWA continued without Ice Cube, and their 1991 release Niggas for Life went to #1, and Dr. Dre was quickly becoming Public Enemy #1. He was arrested for assault in a New Orleans hotel. Then he was convicted of breaking the jaw of a record producer. Dre was convicted on both cases and sentenced to house arrest and fitted with an electronic tracking device and had to be at his $1 million home daily by 9 p.m. To make matters worse, Dre ran into TV presenter and former friend Dee Barnes at a nightclub, where he wasn't too happy with her for letting Ice Cube insult NWA on her TV show.
Y'all can't play.
And before I knew it, he grabbed me by my hair, picked me up, and started slamming me into a brick wall. I was thinking he's trying to kill me. I'm like, wow.
We did get into an argument, and I did push her and stuff like that, but it wasn't at all, you know, what the media made it out to be.
Dee Barnes filed a $22 million lawsuit against Dr. Dre. It was reportedly settled for a six-figure sum.
If I had to go back and just relive that night, it definitely wouldn't have turned out the way it did. That was a major, major mistake for me.
We started with 5 and Joe couldn't take it. So now it's 4 because the 5th couldn't make it. The number's even, now I'm leaving.
Dre's career wasn't going too well either. He wasn't happy with his financial deal with Eazy-E's Ruthless Records, but Eazy refused to renegotiate or to let Dre out of his contract.
I tried to work things out, you know, but wasn't meeting up to my expectations, you know. I had to get on.
Dre did get on. He got on out of Ruthless Records with help from former football player Suge Knight. Eazy-E claims Suge Knight had threatened him with bodily harm with bats and guns and forced him to sign a release, allowing Dr. Dre to be free from his contract with Ruthless Records.
Do I need a bat, you know, to force him to do a few things? If he walked between my legs, excuse my French, people probably would think he was my penis.
Suge Knight denied the allegations and the case was settled out of court. Dr. Dre was free and happy, but after all they'd been through together, Dr. Dre's friendship with Eazy-E was finally over.
Out, through. He was a puppet on a string doing what somebody told him to do. You know, and he still is. That's why he's gonna fail in the long run.
Dre's thoughts turned out in the future to be prophetic, but for now he was content to continue making hip-hop history. Dre managed to persuade Jimmy Iovine, the co-founder of Interscope Records, to let him set up his own label with Suge Knight. With Dre creating the music and Suge handling business, it would be the hottest label in rap, and it would be called Death Row.
Death Row's gonna be the biggest record company there is.
Coming up in part 2, the Death Row sensation. Dr. Dre is out of control.
I was wild, the people around me are wild.
Dr. Dre gets hot.
Pay me what you owe me, man.
Dr. Dre gets shot.
That's a pain like you never want to experience.
All in the essential Dr. Dre.
So don't go nowhere, stick around.
I don't see myself as a rapper, an MC, because I feel there's too many nice MCs out there. From Biggie to Nas and, you know, Method Man, Rakim, KRS-One. I'm not nowhere near that level, but as an entertainer, I'm up there. Everybody has their strengths. So